tenant screening and other things about landlord-tenant relationships, so that if you're trying to be a good landlord, you have the information you need to not accidentally end up on the wrong side of the law. So we got brochures out there if you want them, that has information about tenant screening and other fair housing information. I don't know where that is.
Okay. Okay. So this is really tremendous turnout. I'm so excited you all took some time on a miserable November day to come out. My name is Anna Falkov. I'm the coordinator for the Buffalo and Erie County. We're a cross-sector collaboration of folks from the county, city, Buffalo Public Schools, academia, philanthropy, nonprofits. And our goal is to end the epidemic of childhood lead poisoning in the city of Buffalo. Last year alone, over 580 kids were lead poisoned in the city and Erie County. We have among the highest rates of lead poisoning in the country. And that really boils down to the fact that we have not regulated our rental housing basically ever. So this is why we are entering into a new era of regulating housing so that every single unit in the city of Buffalo meets a basic standard of habitability. We want to level the playing field for those good landlords that are investing in their units, and we want to ensure that landlords who are not investing in their units do so or frankly get out of the market. We also recognize that, I didn't put lead in the paint, you didn't put lead in the paint, and that this is really a public health problem where we need a lot of resources. So we really take this kind of dual approach. Regulating those units so that the compliance is achieved and those units are safe, and bringing resources to particularly those smaller landlords so that you can make your property lead safe without going into debt and creating a lot of hardship for you. So we organized this workshop tonight. It's the second of hopefully several. We asked Ayat to be in charge of marketing, and he's done an awesome job, so thank you, Ayat. And we've invited guests from the county health department, from the city. It's a bit confusing, but there are 2 rental inspection programs underway. There's the city's proactive rental inspections law, which is looking at all basic health and safety standards. And there's the county rental registry, which is looking at lead. So we are bringing both the city and the county here today to talk to you about what expectations are and also what grant resources are available so that you can literally get ahead of the problem and fix your unit so that when it comes time for inspection, you pass with flying colors and you don't need to be inspected for another 3 years. It's a 3-year program on both fronts, and you'll hear more about that momentarily. You know what? I think with that, we're just going to get right into our program. We don't want to waste time. We have next up the Erie County Department of Health. I'm going to invite up Mike Bloom to give you some details on the rental registry.
We got the microphone first. Okay. Well, so yes, I'm Mike Bloom. It's Glenn. We're the lead poisoning prevention team, and Jordan is also here. He will come up and talk about grants that we can offer afterwards. And so I will try to make everything clear for you as much as we can, because this being a state-run program, or state-organized program, the actual registry that you need to go on to register your rental units is not up and running yet. All right, so at the health department, we will field calls and questions, and we can even schedule you for these inspections ahead of time and then back enter the data. But it will be easier once the registry is available. I'll jump on, do this on your own, and then we'll figure out how to correlate that with the health department to get these inspections done for you. The basics, I guess, which Anna also hinted at, there's a differentiation between us and the city. We do 2-family and more for your house. 2-family and more, if it's built before 1980, and it's in these zip codes of communities of concern, which I think mostly everyone should have on these sheets here because they're gone. If it's in those communities of concern, and it's 2-family or more, any of those units that are rented have to be registered. That's how it goes. If it's owner occupied and none of them are rented, there's going to be exemptions and ways to go about to go about that, because we understand people live in a two-family house with just that house, or just with their family. But if it's rented, you'll have to register the unit, or both units, multiple units if it's 3 or 4. Okay, so that's basically, that's the rundown of who needs to be involved in this. And I will do questions again, but if you want to jump in quickly, go ahead.
Yeah, how long are you gonna give the landlords to do repairs and how are they going to?
So it's gonna be sliding. We understand that people have lots of work to do. Some people actually need to get certified to do. What we plan to do is have everyone who's ready for us to come out and do a visual inspection, whether it's been renovated, remodeled, or have already had it done previously with the health department. We'll do people like that first. Okay, so really, if you're involved with us as far as communicating with us, trying to get the house done, even just letting us know, we'll give you time so you can get it done. That's the only reasonable expectation. Okay?
How long does it just?
So if you're working on getting the certification, getting your house renovated so that you can rent it, if you're making progress on it, we'll pretty much give you as long as you need, okay? Yes, we'll do one more question, then I'll finish the spiel. Go ahead.
Just curious, on the list of zip codes that are the relevant zip codes, if your zip code isn't one of those listed, does this still apply to you? You're just not in a priority zip code, or?
The lead rental registry for the Erie County Health Department, that will not apply to you. If you're not in one of those zip codes, which are considered communities of concern, and they get that with data based off kids' elevated blood levels, right? So that's how. So no, you will not be involved in that. Perhaps the city program for proactive rentals, maybe for them. I will let them take the course of the rest of their program for that. So what it requires is a register, a visual inspection to verify that there's no deteriorated paint. That's really what we're looking for. Deteriorated paint, windowsills, window wells, thresholds, outside, exterior, all that. Deteriorated paint is what we're looking at. We'll do the visual. If the visual is clear, we can do dust swipe samples to make sure there's no residual lead dust that has fallen on surfaces. Yeah, so visual on the interior and the exterior, and of course the samples will be taken on the interior. Soil too, soil, paint chips in the soil, of course, a no-go. That's terrible for children as well too. So that's the long and short of what we have to do is visual inspections for deteriorated paint, and then dust swipe samples. You want to ask a question?
Yes, so we are recording this, so if anybody has a question, if you could raise your hand, if we can get a mic to you before you ask the question, so we get it over.
You're talking about the people out here in the audience. When y'all get a chance, you gotta say something, just put your hand up, and we'll get you a mic so we can hear you on the recording.
Which mic should we be giving them?
We'll give them 3 mics.
One of the black ones. It's one on the table, we'll have that.
Yeah, okay.
And then similarly, if there's an individual who speaks Bengali, would you like to make an announcement? Maybe just quickly. There'll be an interpreter here, so maybe, but Mike, once you finish, then we'll.
Okay, yeah, be happy to help people who can understand what we're saying, because that's really what we want to do, is make sure that you understand what we're saying here. So back to who should call and who should schedule and how you should go about doing this. If you look around your rental unit and you have chipping, peeling paint, deteriorated paint, and dust and things of that nature, you gotta get it corrected. That's how we're gonna make sure people and kids don't get elevated blood levels by getting rid of the chipping and peeling paint. So you need to have a certification to work on that to make sure that you can do it safely. It's called an RRP certification. Contractors have them, so you can hire someone, but if you want to get that done yourself, if you want to make the renovations yourself, maybe they're small scale, large scale, whatever, you can do them yourself, you have to be certified. Which is why we have the sheet here, which allows you a reduced rate. If you want to call and schedule with us, you can do that. We're already booked until about February, so as you had mentioned, we're going to give people time who need to get the processes in place so they can do their work. Okay, so but there's other organizations that do these classes, okay? And then on top of that, you can hire a contractor. But if you have this paint dust, you're gonna wanna take care of that prior to having the inspection. That just makes sense, right? Because else we're gonna cite you and tell you to do it, okay? So, but I would say that's really what the expectation is. So if you do want to have an inspection, if you think that the visual is clear, you don't see any chipping and peeling paint, no soil that has chips, you don't need bare soil where people can be affected. You can call us or you can email. We have an email to us, email. It's lead.safe at erie.gov. They answer questions there, but also you can get in touch with inspectors. There's a phone number too. We'll get you in touch with an inspector who can call you and set you up for an appointment out. Basically, what's worked for you. Because we want to get people in who are ready for us to get them out of the way, and then as soon as people are ready for us with their renovations, then we'd be happy to schedule them too. So call or email us. Would you like to ask a question? We want to get the. Okay, well, as per request by the organizer.
What if you took that course, 15 years ago? Is that still good?
Those certifications are 5 years.
Oh,
So if your certification is good, by all means, you can use it. The EPA will have that information for you.
follow up with that. Do you have testing kits that are available for landlords, like before you come to do the inspection?
We're doing visual inspections anyway.
No, I know. but-
So-
Because, windowsills and,
So if it's not chipping and peeling, it's not considered a hazard. Chipping, peeling, flaking, paint, and dust is what we're worried about. If it's intact, we're not worried about it.
Hey, so, yeah, you're right, this isn't working. This isn't working. So why are we asking questions? So now, what happens when you go out and you inspect somebody's property and you find that chipping, paint, and these different violations, and then you give them amount of time? What's the amount of time you give them? And what's the point where you say we waited long enough, now we gotta do something about it?
Okay. So this is pretty consistent throughout the health department and all of our lead prevention programs. This initial notice will give you 2 weeks to respond to us. What we send out to you is information on what the violations are, the areas of your house. We also send you a work plan packet, which basically tells you, or details for us how you do the work, who's gonna do the work, and what kind of timeline works for you. So that's it, response within 2 weeks. If we don't hear anything for 2 weeks, we're gonna send you a reminder to please get your work plan done. Another say, hey, listen, we do have legal action that we can impact in order to get this all done. Okay, that's just the progression. 3 letters over about 45 days.
And then,
So if there's been non-compliance, no communication, and there's been no progress on the house, more than likely you'll have a referral, which will lead to a hearing at the health department's office or with the city of Buffalo. We're looking for response, communication, and any effort to start this process so that we don't have to do that, because that's going to slow everything up. Number one would be getting a work plan into us and saying, hey, here's the timeline for doing the work. So again, we ask about how much time you need. Sign up for the course if you want to do it on your own. Communicate with an inspector. They'll tell you, okay, your course is in February or March, or that's when we can get you in. Let's revisit your file when you can. And then your non-compliance will trigger if you're not going to the class or if you're not following your timeline. So we're really it's winter. So none of the work's really getting done unless it's indoors until May anyway. Okay, so we don't have an unreasonable timeline. All you need to do is communicate with us. We can update the work plan and we can get you a class if you take it with us.
So if your RFP certification,
that works.
if your RFP certification expired, is there any process in renewing it?
If it has been expired, you will need to recertify and take the initial course, RFP course. Anyone who's almost expired, there's a refresher course, which is half the time, and it'll get you another certification for 3 years. But if you've expired, you need to recertify with the initial course. Through us or through another organization. I know EDA will do that. I believe maybe they're the only other organization.
Is it free?
good question.
The refresher course would be. If you have a certification that's about to expire, that course would be. Otherwise, if you're going to take the initial course, no, there's a fee to take the course.
Because I know I have it, and it should have expired by now. So I'm looking at what the process.
You can find that information on the EPA
Okay.
website. You can find out if your certification is valid.
How much is the certification?
$110.
It's 110 or 125?
110.
It's 110 for the initial certification. The reason we brought the vouchers here is because we would like people to get this all done, get their work done, remediate before they call, so we don't have to spend more time out there and send people notices. That's why we have a reduced rate voucher. If you want to get this in ahead of time before you have cited violations from the health department, it's only $75 with us. Okay, so we can only schedule till February, but we can only do what we can do.
I missed that. You said we have to pay $75 for you to come out and inspect?
No, if you want to get certified so that you can do renovations on lead paint in any rental area. 110, or if you use this voucher, it's 75.
What about the empty house?
Do we have it still up here? Do we have any more left up here? Okay, we have some up here as well, but I'll tell you what, we have more at the health department. You call, you figure out your scheduling, you call us, email, lead.safe@erie.gov, they will give a voucher. The only one who is get people in the schedule.
What about if there is a vacant house, you guys can come and inspect them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's preferable, right? It's easy to schedule easily, you have to make waves for the tenants. Yeah, no, that'd be fine, 10 years to go. If it's owner occupied, if it's an owner occupied unit, it will not need to be inspected or registered. But there'll probably be a process by which you attest that it's vacant or owner occupied, right? Because what we won't do is just assume that every house that's two-family involved is owner occupied. So we get a list of all of the units that are two-family more, and then that's why we're calling people on email and we'll send it out letters. So there's gonna be a process, but again, which I apologize for, we don't have a link, we don't have a site, we don't have a registry open from the state. Yeah, we're waiting on that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, probably. Okay, all we do is preemptively schedule inspections now, when people are ready.
But you can schedule that now.
You schedule it now, yeah, send an email or call that, right there, you'll get triggered to, with the lead registry, they'll get you, they'll call you, and then we can set it up for
There was already inspection done on the violations. Can I apply those, the grant you're talking about?
anything that has been cleared and closed will not apply to the new lead rental registry, because that started November 3rd. November 3rd is after. But if you have done recently, it'll be an easy inspection. Right? It'll be easy.
Let's say last month, there was inspection done, that there was,
Is the file still open or is it closed?
It's still open.
If it's still open, then you can, yeah, then this will transfer into that, we'll create it as a lead rental registry file, we can just close it after that inspection. That'll be good.
What about a single family?
Not covered under our rental registry at all. I believe that the city does 1 and 2 families, and they do a little more extensive as far as what they're looking for. We do 2 families and up.
They're still coming out for, single family homes as well?
I believe the city is. We are not. We only do 2 family and up.
How do I apply for, grant?
Okay, so Jordan does have information on grants, and we have packets we can send you, but definitely want to email lead.safe@erie.gov. The questions there will be answered. I would just like to maybe finish up anything pre-grant before we can bring Jordan on.
I got one more question.
Okay.
Let's say I have multiple houses, can I apply those each houses? If I have,
Don't worry, it is working.
if I have multiple houses, can I apply to each of the houses, or just one house that's rent?
Well, every unit that's rented needs to be registered. So every unit will need a visual inspection.
Like each house has, each building has
Each apartment, if you want to call it that, yeah, each apartment. If it's a 2-family house, and there's 2 units in it, then both will need to be inspected if they're rented. One is an owner, the other one is an occupant, only the occupant and the exterior.
I'm talking about the grant, grants.
Grants, there's a lot of things about grants that are pretty specific to whether or not you had a violation, or if there's children living there. He will try to go through as many answers as he can, because he does leading in lead, but he'll try to get as many answers as he can. Please email lead.safe@erie.gov. They will respond to you there. Okay, go ahead.
Is it Erie.gov or ErieCounty.gov?
Erie.gov, lead.safe@erie.gov.
If I'm doing a rehab, how do you work with us, provide you pre-inspection, or where do you?
We're gonna assume that you're doing lead safe. You should have an RP certification, because that's required by law, it's federal law.
For the rehab?
Well, it depends on which, if you're disturbing any paint on a house that's built before 1978, that's required by law. If you're doing anything to paint, pre-1978, you need an RP certification. So contractors know that. We're gonna assume people are doing lead safe procedures. What we don't like to do is go out and see people doing improper work practices and post stop work orders. So if you have more questions on it, or if you need to get the RP certification, call or email, and then we'll figure out how to get you a certification, because otherwise contractors have it in the city, you can hire them too.
Last question. I have the certification,
Okay.
but the rehab is taking longer you know, diving in deeper than we anticipated.
Yeah.
It's taking longer, how do you?
Yeah, we
You
have
come
one
out
plan
and
for you.
visualize it, and it looks like shit.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like us.
There's large scale problems and then there's small scale jobs. I mean, the amount of time that's necessary would be acceptable. We know not everybody has, you know, a corporate bankroll. So if you're working on it as a single homeowner or something, it's gonna take you time. We understand. So your inspector will work with you, I promise. I know everybody who works in our lead prevention team, they will work with you on your timeline as long as the progress is being made.
Question over here.
Last question over here until we get the
Last
next
question.
speaker.
Okay, all right.
Currently, right now, as homeowners, we have to register property that's not occupied by one of us, you know, by the homeowner. That a fee is associated with it. Is there a fee associated with this program?
The only fee that is in any of the paperwork we send out is so that you can be certified as a contractor, as a let's say contractor. Just having us come look at your unit, do an inspection, no fee. No fee during the whole process.
To this registry?
No fee. All right? And then we'll bring on Jordan, because I know, I mean, we'll be here for questions afterward too. Hopefully we've gone through everything that we need, but there you go, right?
All right, my name's Jordan. I'm with the Erie County Health Department. I'm the lead inspector for our leading lead grant. I can talk about free money, probably what most of you are here for. So our first grant I want to talk about, if you guys have this flyer with you, is the lead hazard control grant. This grant has a minimum income limit. It's at or below 80% of the high median income limit. That house must be occupied by a child 6 years older or younger. By occupied, it means that they have to spend at least 3 hours a day, twice a week at that house. This property can be located anywhere in Erie County, so not just those high-risk areas. If you make too much money and you're a little above that income limit, you may be required to pay a certain percentage of the work that's done. And this property is not required to be cited. So if you guys aren't cited by Erie County, but you are looking to get some work done and you meet all these other bullet points, then feel free to apply to this grant. We're going to hold questions till the end, okay? The next program we're going to talk about is the window replacement program. This program just deals with replacing your double hung original wooden windows. So none of the special crank open windows or windows that are going to remain closed like a stained glass window. These are your normal opening windows that everybody has on most of their houses. We can replace up to 8 windows per house. This would be another medium income grant, so you will be subject to income limits for this one. We don't require children at this one, but priority will go to houses with children under 6. So if you don't have any children, you might be bumped to the bottom of the list, whereas somebody with a house with children, they might have get in before you. Those two are not our most popular. It does take a little bit to get in there, especially with the income limits. Not a lot of people do qualify. It's kind of stringent. But the leading lead grant is our most popular right now. It is 0 income limits, 2-family house or greater. So up to four units in the house, we will be able to do $40,000 of work per unit. So if it's a 2-family house, that's up to $80,000. We're looking to do any lead possible. We're going to focus on friction and impact surfaces. So this is going to mean windows, doors, floors, stairs. We're going to try to remove it all from the house to get rid of that lead. We're going to put in brand new windows. We're going to cover up your floors, do something with your stairs. All the lead doors on the house are going to be completely removed and replaced with new doors. This is to get rid of that lead problem. If you keep repainting those issues, they're never going to go away as the friction impact surfaces deteriorate. But if you remove those areas, you never have to do anything with them again, because that lead's gone. So like I said, there's no income requirements. There's no required contribution on the owner. Obviously, our priority goes to families with children 6 or under, especially if the child's been poisoned at the time. We're definitely going to prioritize them. And then these houses must be in those high-risk area zip codes. So by what we mean by those high-risk area zip codes, it would be 14201, I have it here. 201, 14204, 14206, 207, 14208, 14210, 211, 212, 213, 214, 215, 216. And then we cover as well 14220 and then 14225 west of the thruway. So that is only for the leading and lead grant. Now there are some caveats to this. If you're not written up by the Erie County Health Department, if you do apply and want to get the leading and lead grant, you are saying that you are willing to be subject to violations by the Erie County Health Department. So what would happen is I would go inspect your home. We would write out everything that we physically can at the house. You would get a warning notice just as you would any other file that comes from us. At that point, as a homeowner, you are responsible for those violations. If at any point in the grant you're denied, you're going to be asked to fix those violations as well. So if we get halfway through and the roof on your house needs to get replaced, they will deny you and ask you to fix all those that we wrote up. So it could be risky. So that might dissuade some of you from applying, which is okay if it's not a ton of work. But if you have a ton of work to do, like siding, windows, you need a whole staircase to do, feel free to apply. As long as you're okay with being written up, I will come out, inspect your house, and we can get that grant process started. All right? Any questions? Yep.
If there are no tenants, on the property at that moment, we will probably qualify for.
Yeah, so for the leading and left grant, if it's owner occupied in one unit and you're renting out the other, or the other is vacant, or both are vacant, as long as the units are able to be rented the moment we're done with our work, you're okay to apply. But let's say you have plumbing issues, or there's no drywall in the house, or no flooring, that house wouldn't qualify, because if we were to come in and do our work, that house technically wouldn't be rentable by the time we're moving out. So we want completely renovated apartments minus the lead work to be worked on
Before you come in.
before we come in. Go ahead.
What happens if there are no kids there? Is the property still eligible for the lead abatement?
Her question was if there aren't children there, or is the property available for abatement? Yes, for the leading and lead grant, we do not require children to be in the house. It would be preferred, and we are going to prioritize houses with children under 6 in those houses. But if you don't have any children, we'll still come in. Because the whole point of this leading and lead grant is to not fix up the houses for the people living in there currently. We're thinking 25, 30, 40 years down the line, when a new family comes to Buffalo, I want them to have a safe place for them and their family to live, and they don't have to worry about that. Okay?
Questions?
So what's the processing time for this lead?
Unfortunately, it's about 6 to 8 months. I have about 50 houses that are waiting to get work done right now. We do have two more years of grant cycles to get through, so we're talking 2027. We're gonna have access to the funding for maybe. Like I said, so at the beginning of the grant, it did take a while for the state to get things up and running. So we performed a ton of inspections while we were waiting. We got all the inspections done. Now we're waiting for the contractors to get the work done. Not a lot of contracting groups in Buffalo that are qualified to do this type of work. So we're running on like 5, 6 contractors that are doing the houses. So if you're doing 1 or 2 houses a week, it really takes a while.
Wait for the microphone before you ask your question. Thank you.
And then we do have to switch presenters, and we do, if you want to do a public action for contractors.
Yes, last question.
My question is, for applicants who have submitted previous applications and the funding ran out, were their applications be prioritized, or will you be accepting applications from current pool?
No, if you applied for, I'm guessing you applied for the lead hazard control or the window replacement program. If you have applied for that, email that lead.safe@erie.gov. Email them, tell them you've already applied. They should have your permit, your application still on file, and they'll be able to get you right in. Of course.
Yeah, one more question.
We'll take
Wait.
questions after the end, once we're done.
Wait for
We'll
the
take questions at the end.
Do slideshow something, show the.
Now,
আমরা বাংলায় প্রশ্ন করলে যদি কেউ বাঙালি থাকেন বাংলায় প্রশ্ন করলে আমরা ওটার অ্যান্সার দিব ওদের থেকে কেউ যদি বাংলায় প্রশ্ন করতে চান প্রশ্ন করতে পারেন
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Martinez. I'm with the city. Those who came late, you probably didn't pick up one of these sheets. So I'm going to be referring to this sheet right now. So if everyone could just pull it out. So on this sheet, if you call 301, go to the website, or scan the QR code, that will take you to a booking portal. You will book an inspection with me or one of the other inspectors. Every single rental property that is a single family or a two-family home in the city of Buffalo has to be inspected. Okay? Every rental property, if it's owner occupied, they do not have to be inspected. Owner occupied, yes. So if you live in a two-family and you live in one of the units, that house does not have to be inspected. Okay? Yes.
Well, taking questions. Two questions. Number one, how many inspectors do you currently have in the city of Buffalo?
We have 10.
You have 10. And how many units do you get inspected every year? Ain't it about 36,000?
No,
Isn't that something like
it's
that?
not 36,000. That's what we have. That's no, we do, there has to be 6,000 per year. So we're about to hit 6,000, we're already passing that.
Yeah, you're gonna hit 6,000 this year, but how many rental apartments do you have?
Oh, in the whole entire city, it's every single one, so. Yeah. Oh, okay, I got you. So, every single rental property that is a single family, two-family home,
So if you're only doing 6,000 a year, it's gonna take you 6 years.
Yeah, so we
1 year's work.
So we move from census. Once your house is cleared by us, you issue out your certificate of principal compliance, that will be good for 3 years. All right, so then we move on to the next census tract. The next census. The whole city.
Are you guys hiring more inspectors?
That is the goal. So we, at the beginning of the year, we were only working with 3 inspectors. Now we can hire more. We're granted permission to hire more. Now we're. Make them go. Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Oh, by the way, so on this letter, once we move into your census tract, you'll start seeing this pop up either on your door, or if you're a landlord or a tenant, you'll get a letter from your Buffalo saying, hey, your house has to be inspected. Tenant will get the letter, the landlord will get the letter in advance before we come into that zone. So we don't need a response from the landlord, if the tenant's an opportunity to schedule that inspection. Tenants on schedule, we send on a secondary letter to the landlord, say, hey, we're responsible. And then we go out and we lift the equipment on the doors. If we don't get a response at that time, before you that's about the process. Then your house will get posted for a rental compliance. You don't want to ask your house to get posted. It's whatever address that you have that's listed with the city of Buffalo in terms of your property. So whatever address that you have listed with the city of Buffalo has a registration.
Question right there. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I can't speak for the county. The city, if you have a.
Can you repeat the question before you went into the, there's a lot of gibbering over here, we can't hear.
Okay, so repeat the
Quiet
question.
down over everybody. Quiet down. Talk about it.
The question is, are you the city coming out to inspect as well as the Erie County?
Yes, we're both inspectors, so they have their program.
If we have to be available
Yes, so we have to be available for all.
every 3 years?
Well, theirs is different, so I can't speak on theirs. I can only speak on proactive inspections. So if you have a property that's a single family, a two-family, that is a rental property, it has to be inspected by you.
Now, how does Erie, yes. And how does Erie County play in?
We're totally separate. We're totally separate. Ours is every 3 years. Certification every 3 years, totally separate. All requirements are separate from his.
So we gotta have two?
Yeah.
If they meet the criteria, yes. If you meet our criteria, Yes, both of us will be required to go there if you meet the criteria.
Now, we are inspecting from different stuff, because we're code enforcement officers, so we inspect the building code. So we're looking at the chipping and pinning thing, obviously, that's the first priority. Then we're looking for other building violations that may happen on the property, right? Because as a tenant, the tenant has a right to live in a safe home. So if they move into a house and the roof is deteriorating, or, you know, the house is leaning and it's about to collapse, they shouldn't be living in it. Or if a tenant is living in a house where the landlord is doing illegal wiring work, the tenant shouldn't have to live in that. We want to make sure that every house is safe. So when we come into inspect, we're inspecting to building code. We're checking to see if you pulled permits on those houses for the work that was done.
Not to be negative here by any means, but this is the real world. You say it's okay, now he comes in, inspects it, that's another set of eyes that sees a whole different picture, and now I'm back to square one of it.
Right.
And then you come back and you don't like what he did. I mean, this is real world stuff.
Once you're cleared by us, I only care about us. We're the city of Buffalo. That's their different criteria, unfortunately. So they have their different criteria, we have our criteria. I believe the county inspects the minimis standard. We don't. We understand, like, hey, if you fix the house and you just spend $30,000, we'll give you some more time to get up and running. You know, we're willing to work with you, and I'm sure the county is willing to work with you as well. It's unfortunately, this is the state of the world that we live in. These houses that were built before 1978, a lot of them have a lot, right? You wouldn't want some tenant to become sick, a baby to become sick in your house, right? So, God forbid if somebody did, now you're on that hook, right? Because I know I had kids, if my daughter ever tested positive in somebody's house, I'm gonna sue that person. You know, so alleviate all of that, get your houses fixed, do everything up to code. You'll never have a problem with the city of Buffalo if you always use licensed contractors, full permits when necessary. That's it. That's all we're asking for. That's not hard. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes. Yeah, if it's owner occupied, if you live in it and the owner lives there. Well, then that's a different inspection. So you can still call 311 and report the landlord. So then the district inspector will come out. And then whatever violations that they see in the house, you also as a tenant, can go and call 311, you're basically calling on the landlord, will come out to inspect. Yeah, we can't inspect the house that the landlord lives in. Then that will go to the district, inspector, and the district inspector will come out and inspect that. So the house will still get inspected, but it's not getting inspected by the proactive rental inspection. That's a separate. It's still the city, we're still building code enforcement. I just sorry.
Speak in the microphone.
Well, the violations are still on the house, right? So before you can even rent it out, you would want to take care of the violation. You wouldn't want somebody to move into a house where it should be on the market, right?
So I think we gotta move on, but we can talk, let's look at.
Yeah, we can talk after this, I'll report to someone and find out what happened.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Can I just make a comment if I could, because I think, I just want to comment on something. Jason, thank you so much. So the proactive rental inspections program is really, it's been a core priority for the legislative task force because we heard from tenants that lead-based paint is a major problem, but so is absence of heat. So is, no locks, and basic quality issues that weren't, being regulated by the city. So Jason and his team are out there. We're very sensitive to this issue of 2 inspections. Hard to try to develop a coordination between the 2 entities, so there isn't conflicting, directives, right? But we have the city that's looking for basic health and safety. We have the county that's looking for lead-based paint. The city's also looking for deteriorated paint, but it's a different standard and it's a different process. So, we get it, the devil's in the details, but just rest assured that we are thinking about the experience from a landlord's perspective, so that you aren't subject to too many duplicative inspections. No, I shouldn't say duplicative inspections, but actors coming in and telling you different things. We're mindful of that, but just keep in mind that there are kind of two different types of inspections taking place, and they both serve a purpose. So I wanted to follow up with that for some clarity. We're running up against time. This is super informative, so I don't want to cut things short on the one hand. On the other hand, I think we should move on, and we'll move on to Andy McClellan and Environmental Education Associates. We will be sticking around afterwards for individual questions and to continue to talk about it, but we'll get through our program, do a raffle, and then be around for more discussions.
We do have one minute pitch from Paul. We do have 1 minute pitch from Paul Perez about gap funding. If you want to go ahead and
Sure. Sorry.
1 minute, Paul.
Yeah.
59 seconds.
You need me to talk on the mic? So I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna be the money man. So we have up to $60,000 per structure, single family structure. We have up to $90,000, 2 units or more per structure. These dollars can be used for emergency actions immediately necessary to safeguard against imminent danger to human life, health, or safety, or to protect the property from further structural damage. We also have up to $15,000 that we can help you build generational wealth to purchase your property. This is funding through the City of Buffalo's Bureau Department, Buffalo Urban Renewal Agency. I'm here speaking to you as the Housing and Economic Development Director for the Buffalo Urban League. We have a table outside. We have the information. We just need your name, your phone number, your email address, and the best way to contact you, so that way we can send you the application. It is lengthy, however, it is again $60,000 grant money for free for a single family property, and up to $90,000 for a multi-unit, 2 units or more. Now you have to apply. There's some restrictions, eligibility. I'll be free with my team to answer any questions. But again, that's the bag. Here you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Clap on that right there.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'm going to go Andy McClellan.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. I'm a landlord myself. Yeah, I am a landlord. I can sympathize with your plight, but I'm also a lead expert. I've been doing this for about 30 years. Most of the people who have talked up here already have been through the training programs that we offer, so we're kind of the expert side of things. And I just want to make sure everybody's clear on the details and the process here, and let you know, what activities are going on out there. You know, it sounds confusing, but you know, there are other communities that have successfully implemented programs like this. All right, and they've created a lot of, let's say, housing. You only need to go 60 miles to find a city that's doing this really well, and another 60 miles beyond that, another city that's working on it. So we'll get there. You know, the county and the city will figure this out because the infrastructure for this process is in place. So the training has been around for many years. The certification programs have been around for many years. It's just the process of implementing it here in Western New York. Okay. So if people are patient, okay, and take the time to really understand, you know, what's going on, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. You know, it's not the end of the world. Continued exposure to lead is terrible. It's about time we did something about this. Okay? You know, this has been way too long that we've been dealing with this issue. All right, especially here in New York. okay, and especially in Western New York. Okay, we're one of the few places in the country that hasn't implemented this program, and it's high time that we got around to it. Okay? So landlords, you have to consider, you know, the challenges of getting through this process, and the better you understand it, the more comfortable you're going to be with it, the more confident you're going to be about moving through every step of the process. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the training, environmental education associates. We're an EPA accredited training provider. As I said, we've been doing it for many years. We train folks all over New York State and all over the country. We train thousands and thousands of people on how to use lead safe work practices, to do lead abatement, to do lead inspections, the whole 9 yards. So let's talk about this. All right, that's us. We've got our office in Buffalo is over in Black Rock, and we've got a wonderful facility over there that's designed specifically for lead training, and we're over there doing lead training every day. Okay, so there's some of the activities. We've got folks in class, we've got folks doing hands-on activities. We want to make sure that when people leave the training, they know what they're doing. Okay, the training is designed. The training it's a skill-based set of training, so that when you leave, you can go back to your house or to your rental properties and do the work to make the units lead safe. Okay, and that's really all everybody's after. All right, is to make the units lead safe. Nobody's asking you to take all the lead-based paint out of your house. Nobody's ever asked anybody to do that. But if the paint's deteriorated, okay, or if you're going to engage in an activity that's going to make it deteriorated, okay, then you're going to have to control those lead hazards. There are 2 ways that children are lead poisoned. There's only 2 ways that most children are lead poisoned: poor maintenance and poor renovations. So these programs are designed to address that. So when you're in training, you're going to learn the skills that you can use to go back and create lead-safe housing. And if you can demonstrate that that housing is lead-safe, either by determining that the paint doesn't contain lead, okay, or by passing the white sampling requirements that the rental registry program has in place, you're off the hook. Okay. So that's the training. We offer about 7 different certification courses. We talked about the renovator already. That's a requirement for those who are going to be responding to requirements under the rental registry. Okay, unless it's a situation where a child has an elevated blood level, or if it's more significant damage than that, then abatement may be required. Okay, so those are the top half of that list of the folks that do what we call hazard control. The bottom half of the list are the people that do the inspections. Okay, so the individuals that go out and determine whether lead-based paint is present, because honestly, even in housing built before 1960, only about 25% of the painted surfaces are lead-based paint. Okay, so it's a requirement of the law that you presume that lead-based paint is present on all paint that was applied before 1978. The reality is it's probably not lead-based paint, particularly on the interior, particularly in housing built after. Okay, so one thing to consider, all right, is to have the paint tested. You can do that yourself, the lead checks. You can also hire a lead inspector that comes out and does that. The state, under the rental registry program, is actually encouraging property owners to go ahead and do some of their own testing. Okay? So, let's talk specifically about the different training programs that are out there. This is the program that we offer, that the county offers. It's the one that most people are going to need. Okay? It's a one-day class. As I said, at the end of that day, you're going to know how to treat the lead hazards in your own home. Okay? There's a requirement every 5 years that you go to a recertification. If you don't, you got to start over again. And that is a requirement for those, quite actually, for people that control the jobs. Okay, the way it was created by EPA back in 2010 to ensure that renovation activities were done properly. Or it's been co-opted for a lot of lead-safe work programs, okay, like the ones that the rental registry is driving and the city's requirements are driving. But in fact, there are additional requirements for housing where you can just attend the lead-safe work practices training. All right, so it's a subset of training for those that don't necessarily need to be renovators. Okay? And these are the types of activities that we be involved in renovations. Renovations, okay, are regulated under EPA to ensure that you don't make the situation any worse, okay? So your activity, rehabbing houses, that's purely a renovation activity, and they expect that those that are going to do the work will have the certification, all right? Under the county program or under the state's rental registry program, they're also allowing this training to be used for those that are going to be making the units lead safe. So as I said, most of you folks who are going to want to do the work yourself, all right, are going to end up using folks that have the renovator training, or they're going to hire folks that have that capability, contractors that have the capability. Alternatively, in situations where you've got a greater degree of lead hazards there, or there's a child with an elevated blood level, okay, then these are the abatement certifications, okay? So for lead abatement workers who work for lead abatement contractors, all right, it's a multi-day training program. These are specialists. They're brought in when the scope of work is beyond what a renovator or somebody who has, let's say, work practices training can do. So this is primarily going to be contractors, all right, who will provide this service. And this, you can see, this is the kind of work that they be doing. The suits, the respirators, all the more intense, less safe work practices. And as I said, there's also folks that go out and do evaluations. All right, lead inspections are about determining the presence of lead-based paint. All right, and that's one way to rebut the presumption of lead-based paint. In other words, prove that it's not there. Risk assessments, which are required under the rental registry rule, go beyond inspections to include testing of things like the dust. All right. So it's not going to be enough to get through a rental registry to just make your paint, to stabilize your paint. You're going to also have to make sure the area around the deteriorated paint or what have you is cleaned up. The standards that they use, all right, for the presence of lead and dust after a cleanup are very, very stringent. Okay? If you were to take a packet of sugar, all right, and spread it over 1,000 square feet, okay, 1,000 square feet, all right, the concentration at any one point, okay, would be greater than what's required to pass the rule. So the spaces are going to have to be so clean that you're literally ready to lick the floor. Okay? So these are going to need to be clean, and so you're going to need the skill set, the practices, and procedures to really do the job properly. All right, so this is what the inspectors and the assessors do. This device right here tests for the presence of lead-based paint. All right, this right here is what's called a white sample. So after the work is done, or as part of the evaluations that are going to be done for the rental registry, there's going to be some white testing that's done. This is what I mean by clean. In some cases, you mentioned some soil. This is the process of collecting soil samples. So all this is part of the evaluation, all right, that's done to meet the requirements under the rental registry. All right. The county will come out and do some of this, but they're not going to do the testing. They're not going to do the testing. All right. Maybe some of the white sampling, but they're assuming that the paint is lead. The city's assuming that the paint is lead, and if they see paint chips in the soil, they're going to assume that's contaminated. All right. Alternatively, you could bring a firm in that would do a more thorough job of testing and determine whether the paint itself is lead-based paint or whether the soil is contaminated. Of course, that's a fee for service. All right. So that's something to consider. So that's the training. All right, we're a training provider. We're accredited under a variety of different agencies. We not only do lead, we do asbestos and mold, hazmat, and all that good stuff. So as I said, we're out there training folks every day. We also provide some of the specialized supplies and materials. You're going to need a specialized cleaner to make the unit lead safe. okay? The stuff that's under your sink at home is for killing things. Lead's not dead, so there's no use killing it, all right? So the stuff you use in the bathroom, get rid of mold and viruses and all that stuff that we heard about over the last few years, it's not going to work on lead. All right, the cleaners that we use for lead are like magnets. All right, they gather and clump the material up so it's easier to clean up. These are all skills and knowledge that you're going to learn in training. Okay, so these supplies and materials are somewhat difficult to get a hold of. Fortunately, the county does give some of that away. If you attend their training, they'll give you some of those supplies and materials. All right, you can also purchase them. We've created a new platform for property owners that are looking for contractors to do work. It's called Lead Connections. All right, and this is an online resource that's available across New York State, where contractors can list their services. All right, and landlords have access to contractors that have the capability to do both lead renovations, lead safe work practices, and lead abatement. So that's an option too. We're trying to build out the capability to take on the work that's going to be out there. You know, the county is staffed up, the city is staffed up, and that's a great thing. But there's a lot more work than they can do. So it's going to take you guys, it's going to take a lot of folks to get through the thousands and thousands of properties across Buffalo and across the state in order to get this work done. All right, our last thing I'll say is our consulting division will go out and do this type of testing. So not only do I talk the talk, I also walk the walk. So we're there as a technical for the training, both for the supplies and materials, for the Lead Connections platform, as well as technical support. If you have any questions about this process, I can't give you any free money. I'm looking for some myself. But I can certainly answer any technical questions you might have about the entire process.
Just a comment. Just a comment. It would be really nice if the city and county could get together and maybe create some type of brochure about what the city's looking for. So like, you don't want this, but you want this. This is what you want the property to look like. Inside and outside, all those issues out. We take for granted that everyone can read English, and everyone can't. People are also visual learners, and so if you have pictures saying that this is not acceptable and this is acceptable, I think it would help a lot of people. That's it.
Yeah, I want to, at least in terms of the city perspective. So we have these flyers translated in the top 10 languages that are spoken in the city of Buffalo. We also send out a checklist to the landlord to get the house ready prior to inspection.
I have a question. So this program, I'm sorry,
Yeah, just so we can get you on, we can get your question.
this program here, are these classes that you are offering for people to take, like you said, one is like lead for do those help us to help our other neighbors and things like that if we take these classes?
Well,
and yeah, basically.
Yeah, as you pointed out, there's a huge shortage of capability to do this work, contractors that are out there. There's, a shortage of contractors for the amount of work that's out there. So we are encouraging people to take a look at that opportunity. We're looking for ways to underwrite that, to pay for that, so that we can help not so much contractors, but help them find workers. We have a real shortage of workers.
You gotta tell me.
Yeah, to do this work. So it's a great opportunity for
So that's what are these classes, are they money, are they cost?
Oh, yeah. We're all private. We're all private.
Oh, okay,
So,
private.
yeah, we're private, so we charge more than the county for training. We charge for the inspections, we charge for the assessments, but, you know, we have a much shorter turnaround, okay? Hopefully we'll be able to give you a service that will avoid you running into trouble.
So where can you get the information on how to, I collected all that, I see these classes, the basement classes, the renovator classes.
One of the postcards that's got our contact information in it. But yeah, I mean, if you're a contractor, there's a great opportunity out there.
I'm not a contractor, I'm a homeowner, that needs to fix on my home.
Yeah.
Is that the same opportunity I'm able to help my neighbors?
Sure.
After the classes, I'm able to get employment?
Sure.
We do have one quick 1-minute presentation from Neighborhood Legal Services.
Hi everyone, excited to talk to all three, but my name is Zora, I'm an attorney with Neighborhood Legal Services. We are actually out in the hall if you have any specific questions that I can try to answer. But when it comes to lead poisoning, we can actually help if you think there is already an infestation in your home and your landlord isn't doing anything, help fix that. Not just lead, but also if there's damage to your property, the roof, he isn't making fixes that need to be made. You can contact us and we can help try to resolve that problem. It doesn't necessarily have to be through a lawsuit, although we can help with that if it needs to come to it. But just try to help mediate that relationship between you and your landlord and try to force those changes to be made. We can also help with things like family court, so custody, divorce, and one thing that's very big right now in the United States is public benefits. So if you're SNAP or food stamps or your disability rights or you're on temporary assistance, if these things are being threatened, you don't think you're making enough, or you've been denied some of these basic benefits, we can help represent you in what's called a fair hearing, which you say, well, I don't think I should have been denied for this benefit. So again, I'll be out in the hall. I am an attorney, so if you have any questions or if you just want to get a brochure, we can help with all sorts of things. We can also help with insurance denials, student loan debt, counseling, things like that. So please come see us for Neighborhood Legal Services, and we're in Erie, Niagara, Batavia, Orleans. We have a very widespread, a bunch of offices. So thank you so much. Thanks.
A real round of applause for all the members. Thank you. People here working the applause. Thank you. We're going to close up with Anna and Around.
Let me do this somewhere. We have too many people in the application.
Oh, okay.
So what they're gonna do with the application, we're gonna have.
Oh, yeah.
Have leading lead applications, what's your way to do that?
They should take those leading and lead applications and drop them off at the Erie County Health Department office, 503 Kensington Avenue.
Okay, I'm gonna repeat that, so.
Do you have any time limit or when I can go?
Anytime from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Oh, sorry. The longer you wait, the longer you're going to take to get in. Not really, no, not right now. Yeah. I don't have any with me. If you need additional applications, please email lead.safe@erie.gov. Yep, that's the application. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna take questions out in the hallway when everybody's out of here, okay? So find me out there. Like I said, 503 Kensington, yeah? All right. Applications, I don't have any with me. Yep, that's the application. Do you need any other information? Nope, that's it. I'm going out there to answer questions. Everybody's swarming. Find me out there, please. Hold on. Find me out there.
January 29th is the only thing available. Lifting my stuff in
special. It's just a call, actually. You can go to the site and just go right to the window. It's in there. Oh, yeah, 961. Yes. So there is, yeah. So the reason why we didn't bring them with us.
Yes, I'm gonna, you have the car?
They're already full. So we figured why not?